that was originated September of 2018. At that time, the district had several students, parents, teachers, community members, our elected leaders, business people, our parents, staff members of all in our areas to come together and have the discussion on what we needed to do as a district to revitalize our campuses, to renovate our campuses so that our students have a more efficient learning environment, and our teachers and staff members have a better working environment. And so that from those discussions, months of discussion, the blueprint, Little Rock School District blueprint was developed. And so tonight we're going to revisit that blueprint to update you all where we are. Many of you are aware of the new Little Rock Southwest High School. That was part of the blueprint that was created at that time. And as you can see, that part of the blueprint has been completed. And so parents, community members, teachers, staff members, students, tonight is a dialogue just to update you where we are moving forward with the K-8 Fair School. And so tonight we have Dr. Sadie Mitchell with us, who's the project specialist, but many of you remember her as our Deputy Superintendent of Elementary Education, a long-time educator in the Little Rock School District and resident of the Little Rock community. And so we're pleased to have her leading this major project for us. We have Mr. Michael Anthony, principal of Henderson Middle School, Mr. Tyrone Harris, principal of Romine Elementary School, Mrs. Melinda Modica, principal of Dodd Elementary School. We also have Mr. Darren Smith, executive director for elementary education, Dr. Freddie Fields, executive director of student registration and student services, and then Mrs. Esther Jones, director of early childhood pre-K centers. And so tonight you'll have a presentation before you, and then we will answer any questions and answers from our Zoom audience as well as our Facebook audience as well. So please feel free to share your questions in the chat features on both platforms. Also, just a disclaimer, if there's a lot of background noise on your end, we may mute you so that all of our viewers are able to hear the speakers and hear the presentation, but then we can always unmute you so that you can participate in the dialogue as well. But we just want to make sure that we have a platform so everyone can hear the presenters and receive the information. And with that, I would like to turn the presentation over to Dr. Sadie Mitchell, our project specialist, as she will start us off with the rest of the presentation. Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Dr. Owa. And I just want to say to all of you out there that I'm so excited to be having the Little Rock School District. Although I'm retired, I am always going to be a cheerleader for the Little Rock School District, no matter what. And wherever there's an opportunity for me to help out, I'm going to do that because the Little Rock School District has been great to me. So we're going to start off with just a few questions that you see on the screen. And so you might be wondering, well, what is a K-8 school? Well, K-8 schools are elementary middle schools that enroll students from kindergarten, and sometimes they might even have a pre-K. But most of them start with kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. So we have ages 5 through 6 and ages 14. And then these are combined together to make what's typically called a K-8 school. The district presently we have one K-8 school in the district on the campus of Forest Heights STEM Academy, which has been very, very successful. And I know many of you know about this school. It's been there for 9 years, and it's one of the top-notch schools in the Little Rock School District now. So you may also be asking yourself, who will be assigned to this particular K-8 school? At the Forest Heights K-8 school, it's by choice. And so students from all over the district can opt to apply for that school. But the K-8 school that will be located at J.A. Fair will consist of those schools, the rising sixth graders from those schools in that zone for Henderson Middle School. And those schools include Bell, Brady, McDermott, and Western Hills. Only the rising sixth graders from those four schools. And so you may be asking yourself, how would that make up a middle school? Well, you're going to have two other schools that will join with them, and that's Dodd and Romine Elementary School. The difference is all of the K-5 students from Dodd and Romine will be going to the K-8 school at Fair next school year. Both of those sites, Dodd and Romine, will be repurposed for other uses in the district. There's still some discovery things on with Dodd Elementary School now, but as it relates to Romine, Romine will be one of the new early childhood centers in the district. So moving on to the next question, then you may also be asking yourself, parents, I'm a little confused. Why would I want my child to go to a K-8 school? Well, there are lots of advantages to doing this. First of all, your child will be settled in a school that will challenge their academic abilities and not have a stressful year. Parents be stressed out about, where am I going? How am I going to select the school? Which school am I going to select after fifth grade? Now you're settled in this one particular school up until the eighth grade. And by the time your child leaves Fair, they will be better prepared to enter the challenging courses for high school, because we're going to share with you this evening how all of this will tie in to those STEM courses that are at Hall High School and at the New Southwest School. Without the influences of a middle or high school, there's less pressure for your child to grow up too fast. Students can have fun at the K-8 school and enjoy age-appropriate activities without feeling like, I've got to grow up so I can go to middle school. Well, they'll be in their same setting. And as a parent, you will be able to watch your child grow socially and academically in one school, one location, under one roof throughout their elementary and middle school years with the same principal. Now, I would have loved to have had that for my child and not have to decide where we're going to go to school after fifth grade. Your children, of course, will get to know all of the teachers in the building, as the school will have a sense of community and become family in the school from kindergarten to grade. Teachers will be able to work together to become more effective with each individual child in the school, and they will remain under their wings until eighth grade. Now, parents, once you become involved, as a parent, I was always very involved on the elementary level. But then when I got to middle school, not because I didn't want to be involved, but because my child didn't want me to be seen on the middle school grounds. But because you are already in this setting, you pretty much have grown up with your children and the teachers and the principals. So you're going to kind of feel obligated to remain active as a parent in the school. And that's what we really want. And that's what I hear from parents at Forest Heights, that is the biggest advantage of, staying on the campus with the same teachers, the same building principal. Their K-8 program would be filled with many opportunities to excite your child about learning. Both principals will share some enrichment activities that will be going on that campus in just a little bit. So who will the administrators be? I am so excited to share with you who's going to be over there with your children. Mrs. Melinda Monica, who is now the present principal at Dodd Elementary School, will be a co-principal and will oversee the operations of the elementary school. And Mr. Michael Anthony, who is now the principal at the middle school, Henderson Middle School, will oversee the operations of the middle school that will be on the campus of J.A. Fair K-8. They have been working, collaboratively together to make sure that this is going to be an awesome experience for your child. And they will both continue throughout the years that your child is there working as a team to ensure that the K-8 site operates as one seamless program. It's not going to be two schools under one umbrella, maybe two levels, the elementary and middle, but they're going to let you know and to make sure that parents and teachers understand that this is a seamless school, one school called a K-8 school. Now, one of the things that I learned working with K-8 schools is that parents really become concerned about what will the transportation look like. And what I want to share with you from experience is that transportation will be provided to those students who need it on the buses. Of course, if you want to drive your children there, then that's fine too. But the elementary students will ride to school on the same bus with the middle school students, just like they're doing at Forest Heights STEM Academy. They have been doing this for 9 years now with no problem. And it appears that the middle school children on the buses are kind of big brothers and big sisters to the little ones on there. So they get along just fine. And there's not been any problems over there. The start time has not really completely been solidified yet. We're still working on that. But however, I believe that if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. And it's working fine with the hours that they're running at Forest Heights. So I would recommend to the principals and to the district that the start time be the same as Forest Heights. 7:40 for the elementary and middle school children. They will arrive at the same time. And dismissal for the elementary children will be 2:25. So they won't be running out into the streets with the older kids. They'll already be settled on the bus. And then at 2:40, the middle school children will be dismissed. So where is FAIR located? It is located at 13420 David O'Dodd Road. And that's in Little Rock. Many of you have been to the movies out by the Rave Theater. And so FAIR, I believe Dr. Owa and Mr. Anthony kind of backs up to the Rave Theater. There's some woods in between it. And so if you've been to the movies, if you went behind the Rave Theater, then there you would find this beautiful building that's been J.A. FAIR High School that we're getting ready to renovate and turn it into this awesome K-8 school. So Ms. Pam, if you give us that next slide, I can share with the parents. This is the building from the outside now, and I just can't wait for it to say K-8 elementary middle school. It's just going to be awesome. And what I want you to do is to look at the next slide, just so parents are wondering about safety of their children. If you look to the left of this slide, you will see the office area. There's 2 cafeterias, and then there's an auditorium. And if you go on to the left, which is not on the screen, there's a hallway there and there's a library. So to the right will be the elementary school. So the elementary students will be completely separated from the middle school students. And if you look at the next slide, you will see that the middle school children are on the other side of that library, the cafeteria, and the gymnasium. So it's almost like, 2 schools in there, but the program itself will make it what's seamless. And those wonderful parents out there like you who will be joining us over at J.A. FAIR. So now I just would like for our building principals, Mr. Michael Anthony he's just been awesome, and he's so excited to be one of the co-principals at J.A. FAIR Middle School. And I've been working with Mr. Anthony and Ms. Monica, and they are really going to be great. They're going to nurture your children, love them, and they're going to have some top-notch teachers over there working with these kids. So, Mr. Anthony, you take it from here.
Thanks, Doc. Good evening, parents, patrons, and other community stakeholders of Henderson Middle School, as well as Little Rock School District. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, my educational background, as well as my work experience. I am Michael Anthony, for those who don't know me, the proud principal, going on my 2nd year at Henderson Middle School. This is my 19th year in leadership administration, for a total of 24 years in education. my 11th year proudly serving the students of Little Rock School District. Prior to the Little Rock School District, I served as an educator in the Pine Bluff School District and as an administrator at both All-Time and Dollar Way School Districts. Prior to coming to Henderson, I was an administrator at Hall High School, assistant principal at Cloverdale Middle School, as well as school improvement specialist, and the principal of the former J.A. Frere High School, and now currently Henderson. My post-secondary education hails from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, where I received a BA in history and a master's in social science education. I went on to matriculate at the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, where I obtained a specialist degree in education administration and supervision, as well as additional building and district leadership courses from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. And during the summer of 2020, I completed phase 2, the second year of the Arkansas Leadership Master Principal Institute, where I was able to learn and network with various other administrators across the state. You may ask, what does the curriculum look like at J.A. Frere in terms of the middle school, on the middle school level? Well, the middle school will consist of the required courses as outlined by the state standards. However, the curriculum will be driven by Project Lead the Way, which is a gateway program to better prepare our students for post-secondary college and career activities. The gateway program and the course studies will be medical detectives and automation robotics, middle school jobs for Arkansas graduates, as well as some coding classes with interventions and wraparound services for our English secondary language, which is our ESL students, as well as our parents. These course programs will be very beneficial to our students as they enroll in high schools such as West Little Rock High School Innovation Hub, Southwest Little Rock High School Next Generation Career Clusters, with particular interest in the biomedical field and the drones at Southwest, as well as Hall High School STEAM Academy, which is the science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. The school's Jobs for Arkansas Graduates middle school program allows our first generation college and post-secondary trade-bound students to be exposed to various career and college paths, transitioning to and through high school on for college and career readiness. Some of the extracurricular activities that our students, whether they be caring or incoming, are especially excited about is the athletic facilities. They have proudly boasted they will be the only middle school in the Little Rock Central area that will be formally housed on a high school. Therefore, that means that they will have access to 2 gymnasiums, an outdoor football track and field with an indoor field house, an auditorium, as well as a greenhouse garden. Some of those extra curricular activities that students have expressed an interest in is creative dance movement, which J.A. Frere does have a classroom with a mini stage as well as an auditorium stage to be able to practice theater, a chess club to enhance critical thinking skills, as well as esports at the secondary level to complement the coding courses that will be offered at the elementary and secondary level. Well, you may ask, how safe will my children be? I know that there have been some concern about some middle school students interacting with elementary students. Well, as Dr. Mitchell stated, pretty much the elementary students and the middle school students will be housed on 2 different sides of the campus of the building. It is a very large building. On the north side, as we call J.A. Frere, there's a main hall with 3 auxiliary hallways that lead out for grade level teaming. Other things that concerns and issues that you may have as you encounter about safety. Well, as Dr. Mitchell also shared, we are in the back of the rave. However, there is dense forest that separate the rave as well as a fence. So you don't have to worry about your students wandering off. J.A. Frere is located off of Colonel Glenn and David O'Dodd in the Southwest Corridor, with really only 1 neighborhood in walking distance. Therefore, the proximity of our facility really allows our parents and educators the freedom of having not to worry about a lot of pedestrian traffic that some of our urban schools may encounter throughout the city. The school facility has 2 cafeterias, an auxiliary cafeteria that easily accommodates 700 plus students with additional covered outside eating patios that students often utilize at the secondary level when weather permits. So our students, in terms of eating together, they will probably more than likely not. Any interaction that will take place among the elementary and secondary students would be under the coordinated supervision of the adults in the building. So in my opinion, I can assure you that your child will be in a safe, orderly, and nurturing environment. Dr. Mitchell, at that time, that concludes my my presentation information. Is there any questions, or will we facilitate questions at the end? Please feel free.
Just one question I'd like to ask you. How can your parents get involved with their children in the middle school?
At the middle school level, there's plenty of opportunities. We currently are always asking for you to participate in our PTSA, a part of our advisory board. Our VIPS is continually grow, our volunteer and public services. Anytime that you may have any questions or concerns, or you want to come and help and serve, we have an open door policy at Henderson. I definitely believe that will extend to JA Fair. As the instructional leader here at Henderson, I think my teachers mirror the same thing. We have an open door policy and approach to learning, and we collaboratively want to work together. Henderson is on the rise, and I think that the momentum and the climate and atmosphere that we are conveying here at Henderson will continue to carry over in a positive way.
Okay, Ms. Pam, if you could back up one slide to Ms. Monica. There we go. Ms. Monica, we'll let you have it now. Ms. Monica would be the elementary co-principal.
Good evening. My name is Miss Monica, Melinda Monica. You may wonder, who is Miss Monica? Well, I'm from Smackover, Arkansas. Is down south. I graduated from Smackover High School, and upon graduation, I went to Henderson State University. There, I received a Bachelor's of Science in Education. After graduation, I was afforded the opportunity to be employed with Little Rock School District, and I've worked for Little Rock School District for 16 years. While working in Little Rock School District, I have taught every grade level except kindergarten under the elementary umbrella. While working, I have gone on to get a master's in educational leadership from Harding University, as well as a master's in reading. I have been a reading teacher, a literacy facilitator, as well as a school improvement specialist. And now I am the proud principal of David O. Dodd Elementary School. I am so excited to be joining with Mr. Anthony on this journey and all of the possibilities that this KA program will have. So let's dive right on in. The elementary curriculum, students in elementary will engage in rigorous curriculum that's already approved by the Little Rock School District, as well as Project Lead the Way launch. It is the beginning stages of Project Lead the Way that Mr. Anthony spoke about earlier. Project Lead the Way launch creates a space where students can engage with peers to become problem solvers and to think critically. They will apply those STEM skills that will help them develop a design thinking mindset. We will also, as a school, we will engage in Leader in Me. Leader in Me is a whole school transformation process where students learn how to be proactive, think about others as well as themselves when making decisions, listen to everyone's viewpoint, as well as work as a team. Now, when your child engages in this and they learn the whole leader in me process, you will see a change in your child. And I can't wait for that to happen. Students will learn how to establish goals as well as create a plan to meet those goals. And they will share those goals during student-led conferences. And that will be in a different process that you may not have been engaged in before. Elementary classes, like Dr. Mitchell said, will be housed on the south side of the building. And the middle school classes will be on the north side of the building with the cafeteria as well as the library separating the two spaces. Dr. Mitchell already talked about the opening time as well as the start and the dismissal times for the new school. Will start similar as Forest Heights K-8 Academy. Now, our playground will be on the south side of the campus. If you go by J.A. Fair now, where the trailers are situated now, that's where our playground will be. How can you get involved right now? Well, you can join our PTA. You can come and engage, being that we are virtual right now, reading to students virtually, or if we are past our COVID times, coming to the school and volunteering and tutoring with tutoring students. I'm so excited about the possibilities and can't wait to get started. Thank you.
And Ms. Monica, I would like to add to the question about the school opening. This school, the K-8 school on the Fair site, will open in August of 2021. So parents, when you get your assignment in December, it will not say Henderson Middle School unless you have opted for another choice. It will say J.A. Fair K-8 Middle School. So now we're open for questions and answers, and we're back to you, Dr. Owa.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, Principal Anthony, and Principal Monica for that presentation. We do have a few questions, and so we'll go ahead and start with the first one. And I know Mr. Smith and Dr. Fields and Mrs. Esther Jones are on, and so if you all, and Mr. Harris, so if you all have the answers to the questions, please feel free to also participate. The first question is, we have a parent who their children are currently zoned for Forest Park Elementary School and Henderson Middle School. What middle school will they be zoned for when this change takes place, when the K-8 school is in place? Dr. Fields, are you the one?
I am here.
Okay.
That's a slightly different combination. Forest Park and Henderson?
Forest Park Elementary, and then they're zoned for Henderson Middle as well.
Okay, so let's just, if they're zoned for Forest Park, that has to be a choice option that the parent made by way of TNT, or at that time they may have been living in that zone. We don't have any zones that's in conjunction with, or either they're ultimately assigned. We don't have any zones that would lend itself to them being a Henderson attendance zone student and be assigned to Forest Park. So that piece, I can deal with the Henderson piece. If they are, of course, if they're in Henderson's attendance zone, they would be going to the K-8.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Fields. Another question that has come up is, what will, and I believe one Principal Monica or Principal, I know Dr. Mitchell mentioned this, what will the school hours be? And so Principal Anthony or Principal Monica, if you could just reiterate that.
I'll go ahead and share. As Dr. Mitchell stated, that's not set in stone. However, the research has shown and experiences from Forest Heights times have really lent itself. So it will be strongly suggested and considered by Ms. Monica and I to continue with those times.
Okay. And there's one question. Thank you, Principal Anthony. There's a question about personnel, about administration. At this time, Principal Anthony and Principal Monica have been selected as the principals for the K-8 school. They will co-principal moving forward. The rest of the staff at the schools, our human resource department will work with them for the positions at the K-8 schools. All personnel would need to apply for those positions, and Principal Monica and Principal Anthony will interview for those positions. And then HR will work with any displaced teachers or staff, support staff members from those schools. There was a question about the need for a PTA or PTSA for the new school, and I think both, even Dr. Mitchell, both principals and Dr. Mitchell talked about the need for continuing parent participation, teacher participation. So there will be a PTA at the schools. Another question is why the school name change? Why did we choose J.A. Fair for the school K-8 school name and not another name or one of the other schools' name?
Dr. O, I can share my personal take on that. If that's the case, in working and experiencing J.A. Fair and knowing who the school's named after, I thought that it was extremely important that we continue to honor the contributions that James Augustus Fair made, not only to the Little Rock School District, the county, as well as the state of Arkansas. And that's just my take on why I suggested and recommended that we continue. And then the name recognition itself.
Okay, thank you, Principal Anthony. Did anyone else have a response? All right. Another question is, what renovations are being done to accommodate all middle level and elementary level students?
This is Dr. Mitchell. I'll take that one. For the past 3 or 4 weeks, Mr. Anthony and Mrs. Monica and myself and their teams have done an excellent job of going into every classroom, every space in the building. And we have submitted to the district a spreadsheet of all the recommendations that will need to happen, or the renovations that would need to happen at Fair K-8 to accommodate elementary students. Now, high school students have been in past years, attending school there. So it's going to be an easier transition for the middle school students because the classrooms it won't take much renovation to, make those accessible for those children. But for the elementary school, it will take a little bit of renovation there. And we have identified where all the classrooms will need to be from K through 5th grade and all the specialist classrooms. And so we are excited about the opportunity of sitting down with the administration and talking about what can happen, what will happen. We know for sure that we will have to have a playground for those elementary students. And I can share with you that I spent some time today talking to our facilities services director, and we do have a crew out at J.A. Fair, the site now, already painting in the building. And so I, requested that that they give Miss Monica a little bit of time to, because I was an elementary principal and teacher too, so we like bright colors. And I know we're going to have to transition those middle school kids and Mr. Anthony to the elementary mindset, but we're working on that. But a lot of things will need to take place, and there are people already in the building making some decisions about what needs to take place there.
And just so that, thank you, Dr. Mitchell, and so that we're all clear, I know some questions are being repeated in both chats, but I just wanted everyone to know that the elementary school hours are 7:35 a.m. to 2:25 p.m. and the middle school is 7:35 a.m. until 2:40 p.m. And then the location that's been shared, if you know where the Rave Motion Theater is, and actually the Steve Landers dealership that's above the Rave, J.A. Fair, the back part, and almost the athletic fields, the softball fields, they actually go against, meet the back part of Steve Landers dealership. And so we're next to all the dealerships over there by the Rave Motion Theater. And of course, Ms. Smith, Pamela Smith, our Director of Communication, did mention earlier that this video, this presentation is being recorded, and that we will also share this with all schools so that they can share with all students, teachers, and parents and the rest of our community if you've missed some of the answers to your questions. Let me check. I have one in the Zoom. How will the cafeteria be reworked to accommodate younger and older students? And will there be 2 libraries? So how will the cafeteria be reworked or reorganized to accommodate the younger and older students? And will there be 2 libraries? And I guess, Dr. Mitchell, we can kind of start with that, with the furniture that's in there, and then probably the lunch schedules, and then the 2 library questions.
Yes, Stephanie Walker is our child nutrition director, and she's already been in the building to look around. We may have to have some new furniture. She's thinking that what we have there in the cafeteria that's closest to the elementary end, furniture may be okay for elementary students that are kindergarten through 5th grade. And so there are 2 cafeterias there. They are very nice. And I don't think there's going to need to be any renovation done, but both co-principals will be working together to create a schedule that will allow the elementary children to eat at the same time that most of our elementary students are eating in the Little Rock School District. But as it relates to renovation and what needs to happen there's not a whole lot. There are 2 very nice cafeterias. As a matter of fact, I was surprised to see 2 in that building. As it relates to the library, we will only have 1. I think the library at Fair presently will meet the codes and state standards for a library. The one at Forest Heights is probably half the size of the one at Fair, and they are utilizing, and they have books there for enough space for books for kindergarten through the 8th grade. And so I think we will make that work. There are a lot of books that we have to move out of that library, old books, and I'm just excited to see what the new librarian will come in and do to make that a K-8 setting. But we will have just 1 library. There's no need for 2, because if we start having 2 of everything, then we're essentially moving toward 2 different schools under 1 roof. And that's not what we want. We want a seamless school. And so we'll be having 1 library.
Dr. Mitchell, speaking of the 2 grade level spans, elementary and middle. One of the questions is, how many students will the K-8 enroll? How many will be at the elementary level, and how many will be at the middle school level?
Okay, the J.A. Ferris capacity is 1,075, and we will have 436 elementary students and 673 middle school students. And that's a total of 1,109. That's more than the capacity, but Dr. Fields is on board. And as he shared with me from past practice and with him working with student registration for years, he knows that there's a certain percentage of students in the Henderson zone and in the Dodd zone who may opt for other choices like magnet schools. And so we do feel like we will be able to accommodate all the students that will be assigned to the K-8 school. And Dr. Fields, you might want to chime in there also.
You expressed it actually the way that I would have. We do have about 15 to 20% of the students who do have take other choice options in terms of going to the magnet schools or specialty schools. So we should be able to accommodate them easily.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Fields. Our next question is, how will the students share, and speaking of the elementary level and the middle school level, how will they share the gym space?
Mr. Anthony?
Yes, ma'am. Just like we have 2 cafeterias, we actually have 2 gymnasiums, a main gymnasium and an auxiliary gymnasium. So definitely we will have the facilities to accommodate the physical education and recreational needs at both levels. So one more than likely would be designated for elementary and one will be designated for secondary. And during the times that either gym is not being allocated for physical education, it may lend itself to the other levels.
Okay. Thank you, Principal Anthony. I'm checking to see if we have any other questions. Okay. One question is, and I'll actually answer this, or Mr. Smith, this question about the Mcclellan facility. What will happen to the Mcclellan facility? And as I was speaking of at the very beginning of the presentation, you know, in 2018, with our community input, the district developed the blueprint plan. And part of that blueprint plan not only included Southwest and J.A. Fair K-8, it also included the Mcclellan K-8 school. And so that facility is still part, that renovation for that school site is still part of the plan. And the district hopes to move forward with that plan when funding is secured to do so. Let me check and see if there's any other questions. Staff, teachers, parents, we really appreciate your questions tonight for all of our leaders. And so we hope that all of your answers are being answered. I will, as I look to see if there are any other questions, Mr. Smith, Darian Smith is our Executive Director for Elementary Education. Would you like to say anything, Mr. Smith?
No, I just want to add on to what you said. We want to thank our parents and community members for sharing in this evening with us, and definitely to our leaders on your presentation this evening. I think it was very clear and communicated exactly the goal that we have for the K campus at the J.A. Fair site. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our students. I think that we're moving in the right direction with the K-8 concept. and our students will benefit tremendously from it.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. And I know we have our director of early childhood, our pre-K centers, Ms. Esther Jones. And I have a question for you, Mrs. Jones and Mr. Harris. You may have the answer too. A parent asked, how many classes of pre-K will be at the new center, the new Romine pre-K center? How many classes will be at that center?
Okay, I'll answer that question. Okay, I'll answer the question. We have estimated that we'll have about 6 P4 classrooms, 6 P3 classrooms, and 4 infant and toddler. We do plan on having infant and toddler classes there as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Jones. And at this time, I do not see any questions, any more questions. Dr. Mitchell, do you want to share any remaining remarks? I will say this, we are, tonight's informational session was for our Henderson community and anyone else who wanted to join us, because we are sharing on our Facebook Live. But we also will have a night for our Dodd families, our Romine families, and then any of our families who will need to participate in the Spanish version. That's also coming. So we definitely appreciate all of you joining us and learning more, or finding out answers to your questions about this, these next steps in the Little Rock School District Blueprint Plan as we move forward to creating and developing better educational environments for our young people. Dr. Mitchell?
I just want to say to all the parents out there, this is going to be your child's new school. And if you would like to get involved and serve on a committee, just get in touch with Mr. Anthony or Miss Monica, and they will be happy to make sure that you are on a committee and that you're representing the other parents.
All right. And with that, Dr. Mitchell, thank you for all of your work. Thank you, principals, for your work. Principal Anthony and Principal Monica, as well as Principal Harris, as you prepared to be the principal of the Pre-K Center. And thank you, parents, staff members, and community for joining us tonight. This will end this informational session, and we hope to see you all at a later date when we host another informational session. Thank you, and have a good night.